Here's what my girlfriend taught me about intuitive eating and neurodivergence that I didn't realize. I'm somebody who has done this work personally. I've been in recovery from an eating disorder and rejecting diet culture for about 10 years now. I'm also certified in intuitive eating and help people heal their relationship with food and body every day in my coaching practice. So my girlfriend and I are relatively new. We've been together for, I don't know, a handful of months. I know a lot about food relationships. So I think that they were a little hesitant to bring this up to me, but it was so powerful and so helpful. One thing that's been happening is with all the new relationship energy and excitement, I have been having less of an appetite and just getting kind of like bored with eating and not really caring about it very much. This happens sometimes in my life, but it's happening a lot right now. And so, they would notice that like about halfway through my meal, I'd kind of push the food around and kind of be like, sometimes I'd just be like, I can't eat any more of this, or I would just get up and walk away from the table. And they suggested that I add like some hot sauce, or I season it more. Even if the meal had been seasoned well and I was enjoying it previously, they'd recommended that, I pause and do that. So sometimes I would get up and heat it up, or I would, add some hot sauce halfway through, and it made a huge difference. I was able to keep eating my meal and eat about the normal amount. So the other day we were at pho, and we were at Vietnamese food having pho, and I had kind of a breakthrough about this. And so I had this huge bowl of pho, and they were like, oh, do you want these toppings? And I'm like, well, I just want to taste the broth initially. So just tasting the broth. And then after a while, I wanted to add basil. And then after a while, I added a little bit of chili crisp. And then after a while, and shout out to Pho Oregon, so good. It's probably the best in Portland so far that I've had. And then after a while, I wanted to add the, I don't know what the dark sauce is, but I added some of that. And I was just engaged and enjoying my meal the whole time. So I brought it up. I said, it really helped me the other day when you suggested, and they'd done it a couple times. And so I kind of got onto this pattern of about halfway through my meal, I spice it up. And they said, that they're actually a math tutor. So they said, oh, this is something I've learned during tutoring, is sometimes if you're kind of, disengaging or getting bored or antsy or whatever, it's good to just mix things up and do something different, especially for neurodivergent people. So it applies here. So this is one of the things I love about secure attachment, is when I'm not judging myself, or I'm not feeling overly sensitive about something, or I'm feeling secure and good, I'm open to taking more risk. I'm open to possibility. I'm open to changing things up. I get really curious. And I also love being a lifelong learner. Food and body relationships constantly change, and they change day to day. This was a circumstance I haven't had in a while, that kind of fun new relationship energy, and I didn't realize how much that would impact my appetite. So anyway, I really love this trick. If you get bored with your food, I'm now suggesting see if there's ways you can mix it up about halfway through, or get it back to where you want it to be. Heat it back up. Add more cheese, add salt, whatever you need to add to kind of re-engage and make it taste good again. This is a normal effect that happens in intuitive eating. We call it the habituation effect, which just means that after time, things get kind of boring, right? So if you have maybe a holiday meal that you only have once a year and you're so excited about it, but then the next day you eat some leftovers, and then you eat some more leftovers, and by about the third, fourth day, it's like, oh gosh, I don't want to have that. Or if you had it every week, you might be like, whatever. But because you're not having it very often, it stays very special, right? And you might crave it, and you might be so excited for it. And so, we talk about this when people have a hard time, they're afraid that they're going to eat too many cookies, for example. We want to create that habituation effect where it's just normalized to eat cookies, because otherwise we have that forbidden fruit. I'm desperate for this thing. And this also happens about halfway through your meal. After the first, 3, 4, 5, 7 bites, whatever, you kind of aren't really tasting it anymore. We're kind of on autopilot. And probably for most neurotypical people, that's not really an issue. They can continue working through the meal. But sometimes for anyone, but especially for someone who's neurodivergent, that kind of this isn't really tasting exciting, I'm not really noticing the way it tastes anymore, can really make it difficult to stay focused and engaged, especially if there's other things on your mind that are pulling your attention. I hope this helped. I'm happy to answer questions if they come up. Feel free to comment and and share the post. Thanks so much.